primetime Poulton, keep it entertaining. You already know it. Outworking everybody and he don't ever quit. Talking about plenty comics like Graveyard Shift, Sea Dogs, Fighting Wolf, U.S. Assassin, doing just what he loves. This is his passion. Bring more value to your dollar. No, I'm not fronting. That's how just a writer became a moral compass. This is primetime Poulton. This is primetime Poulton. Let's go. It's all about the boom. TMC, baby. It's all about the boom. Cowboy Phil, baby. Hit him with the body slam, elbow drop. TMC, Cowboy Phil, laid pot guys. What you see in the ring are two monsters. Energy of a king and of a rock star. Yeah, drop kick, probably make your heart stop. You ain't ready, super scary, and they staying on top. Hit a ding ding, better watch yourself. It's TMC and Cowboy Phil. Lay pot guys, yeah, they the real deal. It's TMC and Cowboy Phil. 2 times a week, you can't compete. They body slam you down, now you taste the beat. The champions, they legendary, nobody like them. Coming for the belt, yeah, they coming for the title. Hey, it's all about the boom. TMC, baby. TMC, yeah. It's all about the boom. Cowboy Phil, baby. Let's go. Cowboy Phil, baby. Hey, 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 yeah, let's go.
What's up, guys? Happy Monday. All hail the Deathmatch King. All hail the Moral Compass. All hail King TMC. With me, the one, the only, the COVID Cowboy, Phil McNulty.
Howdy, y'all. How's it going? It's been a long day. I came back from camping. Got back late last night. Had 2.5 days, practically 3 days without cell service and without any ports to charge anything. And I'm just like, this is something I'm doing right now. But honestly, it was not bad. But my God, was it not having any technology to work, to draw on my iPad, to ink up some pages for PCO 2023 hashtag, right? And then to not, I had a nightmare, Mark, that my iPad died on me, which it did. It died on me, and I couldn't charge it, and I couldn't find anywhere to charge it, which I couldn't. So I woke up and realized this nightmare wasn't a nightmare. It was my subconscious really telling me, right, that this is an anxiety attack you're having. So, the cowboy did what a cowboy does, drank some beers and passed out.
The camping cowboy.
The camping. You know what? I did feel like a cowboy looking up at the stars, gazing out, and said, "You know what? I'm doing some real cool stuff as the cowboy." So,
man, so I hate to do it, but I'm going to start off this show with some bad news, Phil. If you're no stranger to pro wrestling, you've heard the terms "card subject to change," and I've been advertising for this Wednesday a death match between the Deathmatch King, myself, and Don Chin, that no good traitor. No one likes Don Chin around here, man.
No, if you saw Best Friend show with our last La Podcasts that turned into Best Friend show, even Sean was like, "What?"
Yeah. So I've been telling people death match this Wednesday, me versus Don Chin, the undercard. OC Steve versus another traitor, Leandro. Winner goes on to La Podgod's dojo. But CGWF officials have come down. They told me it's no longer a death match. They said, "Mark, you can't keep killing the roster."
I mean, but is the loss of Don Chin really a big loss to the roster?
I you know what? I think they're still mad about the John Malin, Dale Keown thing. And they're being, I don't know, difficult.
I mean, listen, it is what it is. We try to bring the entertainment. This is almost like the World Wildlife Fund trying to cut us off at the knees.
Mm-hmm. So instead, they booked a last man standing match. So I cannot kill Don Chin, but I'm going to wish he's going to wish he was dead when I'm done with him. Mrs. Chin going to be feeding him soup through a straw when I'm done with him. He's gonna rue the day he ever messed with the Deathmatch King.
Don is in some real trouble. Like, I am scared for Don. I think you'd rather be dead than slurping through a straw.
The only good thing I thought about this was, I'm CG's Highlander. When I kill an opponent, I take their powers, their history, their lore, all their accomplishments. Thankfully, I'm not going to absorb Don Chin's dad jokes.
Just what we needed, more puns on the show.
Yeah. So, all right. So this Wednesday, last man standing for the Primetime Championship. Not this beautiful belt. This is my Smooth My Balls Deathmatch Championship. No one's taken this from me. I took this from John Malin. I rechristened it. This is mine forever. I'm being buried with this belt. Actually, I'm being cremated, but I'm being cremated with this belt.
What we're going to do is we're going to bore a little hole in there, and then we're going to pour the ashes inside of it. So you're always the champion.
Forever.
And ever.
Absolutely. We got Hicks Villain in the chat. What's up, Hicks Villain? Thanks for joining us. I know Comicsgate Kings are going right now. We got the Deathmatch King. You got the Cowboy. You got the Pod Gods. Gods a little greater than kings.
Let's face it. We've been gods before kings, just like it is. There's a reason why we're the number one most viewed show for the CGWF.
Mm-hmm. We're taking Rumble by storm, Phil.
Hey, you want to just look at our views, man.
We're putting everyone else to shame. Mark Yoon in the chat. He says, new intro is awesome. Mark, that intro has been there for, I don't know, a year. But thank you. And Mark says he misses us and the new tattoo looks fire. Let's talk about that. If you can see it. There it is. Got the U.S. Assassin versus Graveyard Shift logo tattooed on my arm. So I can always look at it. Absolutely my favorite book I've ever published. Mm-hmm. And I can look at my accomplishment all the time now, show it to other people, and you can own this. Because the Ultimate Edition is on Indiegogo right now, but not for long, Phil. Only 6 days remain in this campaign.
Why do you think we're doing the Pod Gods on a Monday? We need to push some books. We need to pay the bills. Yeah. Buy yourself an Ultimate Edition. Even if you already have all the editions, it's the Ultimate Edition. You can have those ones put away. You can keep them nice in the Mylars, right? You can keep them with the nice backing. You can put it in there, and you can use the Ultimate Edition to finger through.
Mark Yoon is saying I better get a Gungoth tattoo. We'll see, Mark. We'll see. Gungoth is a book I'm working on with Mark. But U.S. Assassin versus Graveyard Shift. 6 days left. We're at $10,912. Love to get it to $11,000. What I really want to do at the end of the 6 days, have it to $15,000 so we can unlock the next stretch goal, which is this beautiful print right here by Reaper Destroyer's own Joe M. Sontag. Reaper Destroyer taking Indiegogo by storm. But this print features U.S. Assassin, Zero Face, and Reaper Destroyer going up against Graveyard Shift's Dracula. Beautiful print. I think this is Joe's best piece of work to date, and Joe's fantastic artist.
I was just on Facebook, just looking at his Fan Expo sketches. The man is just putting out great work right now.
Yep, doing fantastic work, and I got him for the U.S. Assassin versus Graveyard Shift Ultimate Edition. It's just one of the many fantastic pieces of artwork for the art gallery in the back. Also included is the 10-page Mercenary story with Flip Gordon, who speculation's still out there. Where's Flip going? He was just in Australia this weekend, part of defending his WSW Tag Team Championship with the Machine, Brian Cage. They're the Flippin' Machines. Did you see any of the highlights? These guys, their tag team maneuvers are incredible.
Listen, I love Flip. The last thing I want is to see him beat Toss Smith. Like Flip, and I know ROH seems like a step down. And I know if you're on Impact, you're like, I can get there, but Honor No More is there. Just go to AEW, see what happens. He can get himself over. He's with the boys. I'd rather him go to AEW. I think he'd be better than what they got Ethan Page doing.
Fingers crossed. We'll see where Flip ends up showing up next. But I'm excited for whatever's next for him.
Me too.
All right. So that's our shilling portion of the show. Phil, we're going to do something we haven't done in a long time. We're going to review Impact Wrestling and AEW. We're going to start with Impact.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Impact kicks off with new X Division champion Speedball Mike Bailey defending against, making his Impact debut, Alan Angels from the Dark Order. Recently left AEW. I believe it was on his own terms. He said he didn't renew. So this is a cool addition to the X Division, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good hand. I mean, listen, early Speedball appearances were absolutely strung up by the Cowboy. then I saw Speedball at the tapings, Impact tapings at the 2300 Arena. And ever since I saw him live and I've been watching him on TV, the man is phenomenal. Such a good in-ring talent. I'm glad they didn't pull a classic Impact or TNA, have the new guy because he's from a different promotion go over. They stuck with the man.
I've always been a Speedball fan, and you'll see as this show goes on. Usually, if I have an opinion about someone, it's usually right, Phil.
Yeah, I mean that's the compass points in one direction: success.
Hicks Villain says, "Just tell Flip to avoid Marty." Man, the best things on Flip's like Instagram recently were his interactions with Marty Scurll.
Listen, I want Marty to get another shot. Someone commented on a forum about how they watched the podcast and they said that they went absolutely in on the people that trashed Joey Ryan. And I would like to think that they watched our podcast because I know we were probably the only podcast that covered it and supported Joey Ryan trying to make a decent living.
Were they burying us, Phil?
No, they were actually saying that they enjoyed the fact that people were standing up for the guy trying to make a living.
That's good. That is good that there's some decent people out there, Phil.
Yeah, I mean, it was on Wrestling Inc. So shout out to Wrestling Inc. and whoever laid that comment. I'd like to think that it was us because we're gods, not kings.
So Speedball gets the hard-earned victory over Alan Angels. Do you see a future for Alan Angels in Impact?
No.
No.
I see him having more television time. I don't see him going over as much.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to fantasy book Alan Angels.
All right, do
it. Crazy Steve and Black Taurus are going to try to recruit him to Decay. And he's going to keep turning them down, saying, no, I don't. I did the cult thing. I'm not doing it again.
Yeah.
And they're going to take no for an answer. And they're going to start beating Alan Angels. And then you know who's going to make his Impact debut and come to his aid? Stu Grayson. And then we're going to get Stu and Alan versus Decay.
I mean, I would love if Alan Angels joins the Decay and becomes the Fallen Angels.
There you go.
He needs something. Play off the Angels name.
Then Chris Daniels will come for him. That's gimmick infringement.
I mean, what? Impact probably. I know they don't own it. I don't think Chris Daniel cares at this point.
He might. So after the match, Cody Deaner and Joe Doring come out and they beat up Angels and Speedball. And Cody Deaner is not happy. Joe Doring lost to Josh Alexander at the last pay-per-view. And then EY comes out, Eric Young, and he says, Doring going for the belt wasn't his plan. You need to fall in line and follow his plan. Maybe Violent by Design is over. Maybe Violent by Design is just EY. And Cody Deaner asked for one more shot to impress EY, and that's how the segment ends. Do you see? I see Violent by Design breaking up and EY becoming a face.
Yep, it's done. It's over. It's time to move on.
Yeah, yeah. I think we'll get maybe a Joe Doring as a solo monster and EY as a babyface.
Mm-hmm.
Hicks Villain says Five should put the mask back on. There's enough bald-headed, bearded wrestlers out there. True.
Yeah, I mean, Stone Cold ruined it for everybody.
Maybe that's Alan Angel's gimmick and Impact. Shark
I'm
Boy,
frozen solid, Alan Angels.
All right, next segment, we get Laredo Kid versus Trey Miguel in another X Division matchup. This is for number one contendership. I feel like we have this match all the time, Phil.
When's it gonna end?
Guess what? Trey Miguel is our new number one contender. What a surprise.
Shocker. I think I'm back. You know, one thing I'm glad I've stayed pat on is my genuine and general dislike of Trey Miguel and his work. I think it's because the man, and nothing against you, Trey. I don't know you personally. I just know you professionally. You got to do something that makes you a main eventer, because you're just floating in purgatory and doing absolutely nothing. Get a main event gimmick, get yourself into main event shape, and go for it. Obviously, Impact wants to use you, so give them a reason to push you.
Get in that Montez Ford shape.
Oh, did you see him? Do you see him and Bobby Lashley teaming up the other night on Raw?
Yeah.
We've been saying it here on the show.
I'm sure Angelo Dawkins saw him too.
Montez Ford is so ready for the main event.
Yeah.
So ready.
Yep.
But you know what? I think if him and Bobby Lashley become a tag team, that's it for Angelo Dawkins.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we get a video package hyping the debut of Killer Kelly. Now, they had Killer Kelly for like a brief second, and you and I both thought she was fantastic.
Right.
And now she's getting this, the package treatment and with the vignettes, and yeah, I'm excited for it.
The one thing Impact does better than any division in any wrestling company is they make their female wrestlers absolute stars. They give them the same. I think it's because they give them the same treatment as the men, but it's not on the WWE. Give us kudos for doing it. They genuinely do it because they know the market's out there, and Killer Kelly's freaking phenomenal. I cannot wait for her to get that push. Her versus Jordan Grace is going to be fire.
Yep, huge get for the Knockouts division, no doubt. Then backstage, we get Cowboy James Storm challenging Macklin. I'm wearing my Macklin shirt. And Macklin is sort of like hanging out with Moose now.
Yeah, I mean, he needs something. I think Moose, he's got to. He had the perfect X Division Championship storyline. They fumbled the ball on it. I don't know.
Think Macklin's going to be the guy? They like cut the legs out from him.
You took the words right out. I was about to say to cut him off at the knees.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe Moose, some of that charisma can shine off a little more on Macklin, and maybe that's what Impact needs to push him to the main event.
One can only hope. Next up, PCO versus Black Taurus. PCO, Eddie Edwards not happy with him. Honor No More not happy with him. We were calling this from the beginning. PCO is a baby face. The fans loved him since he debuted. And we're getting that slow baby face turn for PCO.
It's going to be amazing. PCO. What I remember Chris Jericho on his podcast saying, wait a second, one of the Quebecers won the world title? I want him on my show. But that's always been PCO. PCO is so freaking likable. And I'm just not saying that because we're working on him as the main character of our comic book, but that's who he is. He's just a genuinely likable dude, and the fans want to root for him. Anyone that's still wrestling today and going through it and still at the level and building a great character, that's all you need to get over.
He's got that character down perfect,
Mhm.
too. I love the addition of Vincent coming out to ringside with him.
Yep.
It's a good combination.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So PCO with the victory. Next up, we get Rich Swann versus Mahabali Shera. Rich Swann recently losing his digital media championship to the most professional wrestler, Brian Myers. Brian was calling himself the digital media champion because he stole the belt from Rich Swann. Actually, Matt Cardona never gave it to Swann when he lost it, and then just gave it to Brian Myers. But Brian won it fair and square now, so he's officially the digital media champion.
What do you think they're going to do with Brian Myers? He's at a point where eventually, where does this title take him? Does this take him to still doing just gigs over there, or do you think this gets him to a main event scene or Impact, or do you think he goes somewhere else?
I think so. We were worried that the major players were done with Impact, but I think there's still plenty for them to do there. They're just waiting for Cardona to get better. He just had surgery on his bicep, and according to him, he's almost ready. He's not always ready. So I see a return of the major players, and I wouldn't be surprised with them getting some tag team gold.
Is Matt Cardona one of the best indie? And can't believe I'm saying this. Is he one of the best indie wrestlers ever? I don't think there's anyone who loves wrestling more than Matt Cardona, and has made independent wrestling more popular than it's ever been.
I mean, even with his injury, he's making all the towns, going on the shows, meeting the fans. I don't know. He embodies independent wrestling.
I mean, that's why GCW is. I
He
never
put that
even
company
paid
on the
attention.
map.
Exactly right. He's putting companies on the map, and he's playing the best character ever. Just loving professional wrestling and being a heel about it. It's amazing. So good.
I was there the night he wrestled Nick Gage in that death match. Most incredible thing I've ever seen. I thought he was going to die. You can hear me on the pay-per-view cheering him on. He owns the indies right now. This injury couldn't have come at a worse time, but he'll come back and he won't miss a beat.
No, not at all.
And man, AEW, eventually they're going to come calling to him, and they're going to have to pay up, Phil.
Yep. And you know what? He'll probably say, you got to bring Brian Myers with me. He's got to get
the whole acted.
He's got to get them all paid. And Tony Khan, we know you watch the show. When that happens, he's got to be your centerpiece. He's got to be your centerpiece. I don't even care if he's bigger. He's a bigger draw than Punk now. Right. He's probably a bigger draw than anybody on that company, probably outside of the Bucks and Jericho. But that's about it.
Yeah. Cardona's in for a big payday if he chooses to do so. He might just stay on the indies and continue to rake in money.
Yep.
So Rich Swann gets the victory over Mahabali Shera. Backstage, we get a Bullet Club promo. Ace Austin, the newest member, and he says it's time for him to step up and take on Honor No More. Bullet Club, now that Jay White is gone, well, I guess even with Jay White, they were still baby faces because they were fighting Honor No More. But now they're like all in, like defending Impact's honor.
Yeah, I mean, they need it. They need something. I think Ace Austin this is just a total work. I mean, he's going to be work as in he's working the Bullet Club. He is so going to be the next best heel leader of the Bullet Club. He is so going to beat Jay White's ass. This is going to be so amazing, and I'm here for it. This is what we've been saying. What does Ace Austin need to get to the top? The Bullet Club is exactly what he needed.
Yeah, I really like the addition of Ace to Bullet Club.
Agreed.
Next up, we get Madison Rayne and Tennille Dashwood. Madison is injured, so they have a new member of their tag team, and it's Giselle Shaw, who recently came out as transgender. Phil, did you know this?
I saw something on the internet about it, and they were like, "Oh my god, oh my god," and I was just like, "It's professional wrestling. It's the fights are choreographed. People, China wrestled men and women. Let's get over ourselves, people."
Yeah, so Giselle, I can't even say her name. Giselle Shaw, newest member of the tag team pairing of Madison Rayne and Tennille Dashwood, and I guess you know, for now, holding the they're not tag team champions though. They lost it to Taya and Rosemary, so never mind. But I guess she's gonna help them get the belts back from Taya and Rosemary.
Yeah.
Next up, Knockouts Contenders match: Mia Yim versus Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna's being paired up now with her bestie Chelsea Green, and I like them as a duo, but I need at least until Cardona comes back, and then I need the major players all reunited.
And then you need Chelsea Green to turn on Deonna Purrazzo with a big ass beating.
Yeah, and then you can get Cardona versus Macklin, because Macklin will come to the aid of his fiance.
You got it. Writes itself.
Yep. So Mia Yim gets the victory. She's the number one contender now. And that'll do it for this week's Impact, Phil.
What do you think about Mia Yim being number one contender? Is she just a person to just job the champion?
Honestly, yeah. I don't really see her as a big addition to the Knockouts division.
Neither do I. I think she's one of the... I praise Impact a lot on their signings. Mia Yim was clearly an ex-WWE grab. It was not good.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if she wasn't Keith Lee's wife...
Would she? Exactly right. I didn't want to say it, but thank you for saying it. If she wasn't Keith Lee's wife, would she be signed by anybody?
Yeah. All right, Phil. AEW Dynamite. They start off with a hot match, street fight for the TNT Championship. We got Wardlow going up against the champ Scorpio Sky. And I want to shout out their long-form storytelling. Did you notice who is carrying the TNT title for Scorpio Sky? It was KM, who was a member of America's Top Team during a storyline in Impact Wrestling. And he came out in his America's Top Team gear.
I saw KM there, and I was just like, this is interesting. You got to give it to KM. He's always putting his face out there, always trying to get his face on television. I'm glad he did it.
Yeah, no, he looked the part. Out of all those guys that came out with Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, he was the only one who looked like a legit threat. All the other guys, American Top Team guys, were little guys. KM was huge.
Do you think that he is? Do you think he worked himself into signing with AEW because they can use him as a top team guy who can actually? I mean, we've seen him in Rahway a whole bunch of times, and we saw him team up with Fallah Bahh. Like, the guy can freaking work, and he looks the part. I was wondering if he worked himself into getting signed by him.
He's in the best shape of his life, I think, and he's doing so many dark and elevation matches for him. I wouldn't be surprised if he just starts popping up on a regular basis, kind of like some of the other dark regulars, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think they've done a really good job of keeping the dark regulars there and just giving them something to do, especially with Dan Lambert, I love him as a character. I love him when he was...
So, I hated Dan Lambert when he was with Impact. I hated seeing America's Top Team on my TV. I love him with AEW because they let him be himself, and he talks crap about everyone, and he says what I'm thinking. Like,
Mhm.
he ran his mouth on Brandy Rhodes. He ran his mouth on Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti. He's fantastic.
I love everything about, and this is what you do, and that's why him and Jericho, with the Inner Circle's last best feud was against that America's Top Team because it made sense, and Jericho was just like, oh, finally someone who I can promo battle against. He's been so good for Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. I eventually see Men of Honor breaking up, and I think Ethan Page gets Dan Lambert as his manager eventually.
So, Scorpio Sky loses the TNT Championship to Wardlow. Clean victory for Wardlow. This belt has gone back and forth between so many people recently that they need to keep this belt on Wardlow for a year, I would say.
They got to bring back prestige to the belt. With
Yeah.
Cody and Brody Lee were the last two to really. I think Miro was a great US. I think he was a great champion, and then a TNT champion, and then I think his injury, and then they just were hot potatoing it to try to find that next person. I think they tried to give it to Sammy Guevara as a push. He just didn't cut it out as a single star. He's probably just not there yet. Him moving back with Jericho was a good move for him. And it was that stupid El Fuego like storyline. And no one really cared about Men of the Year. I think we know who the true star of that is. I think they should have given it to Ethan Page. I think he would have been a better mouthpiece for it. So I'm just glad that they put it on someone who is a main event talent, and I don't think he's losing that belt anytime soon.
Yeah, no, he needs to keep it for a year, and then when he's ready for the world title, that's when you take it from him and you do a tournament. Like, he should
Right.
have both belts when he wins the world title. I'm going to book AEW world title, Phil, for the
You
next
got
year.
it. Let's do it.
Moxley loses the belt to Christian Cage. Christian needs to be the world champion. He is the best heel in the business.
God, that
We'll
promo.
talk about him later.
Yes.
Then Christian drops the belt to Jungle Boy when Jungle Boy makes his inevitable return.
Mhm.
Jungle Boy drops the belt to a returning MJF if he ever returns.
Mhm.
And then MJF a year later, or whenever, drops it to Wardlow when it's Wardlow's time to be champion.
And I think inside that MJF run, he defeats Punk to get to
Cement his place. Yep.
right, and that's what makes Wardlow's victory even better. Is that it comes full circle from the time he quit after that match with Wardlow to once again, and that's going to be MJF and Wardlow's, almost Jericho Shawn Michaels style feud. Is that Michaels will be like almost like I just can't get the victory. That's going to be MJF's deal. Is he just can't get the victory over Wardlow until I think eventually MJF will probably be the one who takes the belt off Wardlow. And I think that's great that'll be for the following year. I want Wardlow and MJF to just battle for that title.
Yeah, so congratulations to Wardlow. You and I, we knew he was a star, and a star who outshined MJF for a long time. So it's good to see him get his due and become TNT champion. Next up, we just talked about him. Christian Cage comes out with Luchasaurus, and they're interrupted by Matt Hardy. Christian, best heel, telling Matt Hardy Matt makes his brother Jeff look like the sober one.
Whatever. I remember when he signed with AEW, and I said, "Oh, he's just Christian," and you're like, "No, Phil, no, he's got to be great." And Tony Khan said that Christian is his favorite wrestler of all time. Christian has always been his favorite. He always liked him better than Edge. He loved him when he was Christian Cage in TNA. He loved when he came back and he won the world title. Christian, he's a big Christian mark. Thank God, because Christian's promos are absolutely the most wonderful thing in wrestling today. When he just went in on Matt Hardy about Jeff, he gives the most promos out there. I just want to see him run down everybody. It's amazing.
And let's give that subtle wardrobe change a
Mhm.
nod too. The turtleneck, so heel.
It's so good. He's got to be the one that takes off Moxley, and he's gonna bring up Moxley's alcoholism, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, no, a great segment. Luchasaurus ends up beating up Matt Hardy and putting him through a table. I love Jungle or Christian Cage controlling his new son, Luchasaurus.
I think this is gonna. I think this starts Matt Hardy to get into a new gimmick. Whether he goes, because did you see it was the delete shirt he was
Mm-hmm.
wearing? I think that's a subtle nod to maybe broken Matt Hardy coming back. But he just needs to channel that Matt Hardy magic to come back and see what happens.
Yeah, Matt Hardy's in need of something,
Hmm.
definitely. Next up, Butcher and Blade take on Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. It keeps they keep playing up the mistrust between Keith Lee and Swerve, but they keep winning, and they end up winning again. But this team is they're destined to break up, Phil.
And I will say it happens at on next Wednesday's Fighter Fest, and that's what causes them. That's what basically will keep the Bucks the champions. I think is the breakup between them happens in that match.
So after they get the victory, Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks come out, and they're calling out Lee and Swerve. Powerhouse Hobbs, so good on the mic now. He's fantastic. And who's better than Ricky Starks?
There's if I got to give it to Powerhouse. Team Taz helped Hobbs get to where he needed to be as a big guy in the ring because Brian Cage, say what you want, he's a phenomenal talent in the ring. The man can do a lot of things for his bulk and his size. Hobbs got to learn from that. And he's with Ricky Starks all day, the best talker probably in the business. I mean, Christian's now giving him a run for his money, but who else would you learn from more than Ricky Starks?
So the Bucks then come out and say, both of you are great. You put on a nice 4.5 star matches, but 4.5 stars is an off day for the Bucks. They challenge them to a three-way for the tag titles. It's going to be a hell of a match, Phil.
Hmm. And I think this is what ultimately Swerve in Our Glory breaks up. Swerve gets to be the heel that he's been destined to be. I think he'll go on and probably have a really nice feud with Wardlow, but won't get the strap. And I think Team Taz were again wondering what they do with two great young talents.
Next up, Eddie Kingston interview segment. While Tony Schiavone's interviewing him, Chris Jericho interrupts, and they're backstage. And Ty Connie slams Ruby Soho's arm in a car door, and the Jericho Appreciation Society runs off laughing.
Can I tell you? I feel like outside of Britt Baker, Ruby Soho is the only other female talent that I give any crap about on that roster. I think she's the one. I think she's probably the most over face. Thunder Rosa needs to drop that belt to Ruby Soho to get that championship back in play, and I think this could be the start of it. Jericho just didn't pick Ruby Soho for no reason. He understands she's a talent and can get over. So I think this is the start of a push for Ruby Soho more than it is anything for Eddie Kingston.
But Phil, we got Thunderstorm. We got the new tag team of Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm.
Uh, is is Thunder Rosa such a black hole of charisma? She like tries for it, but no one's like Thunder Rose. They're all just like, oh God. That's and I think that was the whole, Britt Baker thing.
Hicksville says Jericho should have just fireballed her. He's a wizard.
It's amazing. I can't wait for another. He said that he's only going to use that on special occasions. So I'm ready for the next time the fireball comes out.
Phil, did you see Chris Jericho's new AEW Luminaries figure?
I did. I need it bad.
Incredible. It's Jericho from his Mexico days.
Yeah.
Just an incredible figure.
El Corazon. De
Yeah,
Leon.
that's a must have for you.
You know that.
This is you ignore that.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Next up, Dark Order segment. Dark Order comes out. We get -1, John Silver, Alex Reynolds, Evil Uno, 10, and Anna Jay. And they said, well, obviously they make an appearance because they're in Rochester, Brody Lee country, and they tell the fans not to worry, they're here to stay. And QT Marshall comes out and challenges -1, tells him his dad was a legend, but he's not a legend. And that gets Hangman Page coming out to beat up QT Marshall. And then -1 says he's gonna wait till he's 19 to beat QT. I don't want to wait that long to see a QT Marshall versus -1 match.
The Dark Order's done. I mean, I know they're trying to keep -1 to help Brody Lee's spirit come on, but my goodness, let's just move on from the Dark Order. Let's bring it back when and maybe this can be Preston Vance when he can be Preston Vance till he becomes 10 again when -1 is able to actually wrestle.
Yeah, if they're going to keep using Dark Order, they need to come up with something for them and not just say, "Hey, we're still together." They need an actual storyline for them, but not QT Marshall, who we love.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
I mean, this is what we talk about the undercard. Why are they constantly? And that's why we talked about Rampage being such a poor show, because they have so much talent and they're booking undercard talent always on the main show.
Yep. Next up, Penta Oscuro versus Roosh. Roosh gets the victory. I really enjoyed the the fight between Andrade's I don't know, servant and our boy there, Phil. It was a good brawl. I hope this, now that Roosh has been added to Andrade's little stable, I hope it becomes something important for him. You're not seeing it.
Is Andrade the most overrated talent in wrestling?
Man,
I don't get the allure at all. Even when he signed with NXT and he was Andrade El Idolo, like, why? I just don't get his appeal. Other than he's married to Ric Flair's daughter.
So when he debuted with Vicky Guerrero, they should have kept him with Vicky, who is a heat magnet, and had Vicky drop Nyla Rose. But then they dropped her and gave him to Chavo, which that didn't work. And we thought when Chavo was dropped, we were like, oh, Flair's coming in. Mm-hmm. I think that was probably the plan. Flair was going to come in. And then that Dark Side of the Ring episode aired.
And then that just, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. He just doesn't do anything, really.
I mean, he can work in the ring, but he can't connect with the fans because he can't cut a promo.
Right.
And he looks badass. I love his black hood.
He can only get so far. He needs a mouthpiece, and he needed a Stokely Hathaway.
Ric Flair's making the rounds now. He's having his last match. Does Ric Flair, like, people have forgotten about Dark Side of the Ring, haven't they, Phil?
He's Ric Flair. Let's just go for it. Let's just forget
Flair
about it.
In as the mouthpiece for the Spanish Four Horsemen.
Yes.
Andrade, Roosh, Penta, and Phoenix.
Right. Do it. That's beautiful. Book it.
Hicks Villain says they need the top talent on Rampage to attempt to find ratings and to keep people in the arena, like how the people started leaving during the women's main a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, The worst thing to happen to AEW was the second show. And I mean, they don't even split the roster to try to make it. Like, I know that's a
Well,
brand thing, but
once it started being filmed the same time as Dynamite, I went to a Dynamite that they filmed Rampage after. It's a long night
yeah, it is very long.
because Tony comes out and does a long segment in between the two shows as they're changing over the ring and stuff. It's a long night.
Right.
Next up, we get a backstage segment with Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh. They're getting a TV title match against Moa Joe at the Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view. I don't see Jay Lethal beating Samoa Joe.
Yeah, no, neither do I.
Next up, maybe the best segment of the night, Phil. The Acclaimed and the Gun Club versus Fuego del Sol and Roughing It. And there's been dissension between Gun Club and the Acclaimed. Billy Gunn looked like he took the side of the Acclaimed.
Mm-hmm.
Max Caster didn't even get to do his rap because Austin Gunn stole the mic from him. And they get the victory, but there's a lot of dissension between them. And Billy separates his boys after they attack the Acclaimed. The Acclaimed get up. Billy's trying to talk to him, but then he takes out Max Caster. Bowens gets up, and he. This is the greatest thing ever. He puts up the scissors. He's waiting for it. He wants Daddy Ass to scissor him. The Guns are just laughing at him, and Billy Gunn takes him out.
It's good.
The biggest babyface team in AEW was just born.
It's so good to see Bowens up. It's so good to see that he just didn't sit back and wallow away in his pity. He freaking nailed it. And he's there. He worked on his charisma. He worked on his mic skills. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, no. And Billy Gunn, 58 years old, Phil.
Better shape than his sons. Such better shape than his sons.
Yeah, but hats off to Gun Club, man. They're becoming a top heel act.
Yeah, I mean, the Acclaim's gonna be awesome as a babyface tag team. They don't have any other real babyface tag team at the moment, so why not?
G1 starts this week, according to OC Steve, and he says Marty to NXT. Did I miss something? Did we?
I just checked. I literally just Googled it. No, not that I see.
Maybe he's confused with someone in the chat said keep Flip away from Marty. So maybe they're thinking
right.
Flip's in NXT.
Yeah,
and Marty.
got it.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I see on news on Marty Scurll is that Santino Marella booked him for his indie promotion.
Yeah. Next up, Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir versus Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa. Thunderstorm Thunderstorm gets the victory. Who cares, Phil? I do like Marina Shafir. Mrs. Roderick Strong.
Who cares is right. Who cares is right at this point.
I do love me some Toni Storm, though.
I mean, she should have beaten Thunder Rosa at Forbidden Door. We said that. Thunder Rosa just continues to suck good talent into her black hole of charisma.
Backstage segment with Jade Cargill. Layla Gray is introduced as the new interim baddie. I did you see the Jade Cargill versus Layla Gray match where Layla earned her baddie stripes?
No, I didn't.
It was a good segment, man. So Jade Cargill beat Layla Gray, and then Chris Statlander came out to beat up Jade Cargill, and Stokely Hathaway paid off Layla Gray to beat down Chris Statlander and join the baddies.
Chris Statlander is just another. She's main jobber female talent. They bring her in when they need to just throw a body at the champion. Again, she's someone else who needs to kind of figure out what she wants to be as a professional wrestler. Her indie gimmick talent, her indie gimmick is not going to get over on the main through a main audience. No one's going to believe that she's an alien.
OC Steve says too much booty. Layla Gray, too much booty, or Tony Storm? You got to be.
There's a lot of booty in that ring.
Yeah. Next, we get back-to-back challenge promos. Daniel Garcia challenges Wheeler Yuta for the Pure Championship at Death Before Dishonor, and then FTR challenges the Briscoes for Death Before Dishonor. Ring of Honor pay-per-view shaping up, Phil.
I don't see the Briscoe. I love the Briscoes, but I don't see them winning this match.
No. Nope.
FTR is way too over. FTR isn't dropping any match. This is what they needed to do with Kenny Omega. They needed to not have him lose the Impact Championship to Christian. He should have waited. He should have waited till Hangman beat him for the title and then have him drop it. They're not going to make that mistake with FTR.
And then main event time, Jon Moxley, interim AEW champion, defends against Brody King, who won the Battle Royal to see who was the number one contender. Great match for Brody King. They really put him over. And then they had Malachi Black come out. Oh, well, they had Moxley leave first. Mm-hmm. So they gave Brody King the ring to himself. The fans chanted for him as he went up the ramp. Malachi Black came out, and I was like, oh, no, is Black going to turn on him because he doesn't like being upstage? But no, Malachi Black gives him the nod. Then Darby Allin and Sting come out, and they give him the nod, and Darby offers him his hand to shake, and Brody King just walks away. So we're getting Brody and Malachi versus Sting and Darby, I think.
Has Sting and Darby run its course?
No, because I'm never going to get tired of Sting jumping out of balconies.
But
it's the White New Jack.
But here's the thing. I'm not tired of Sting.
I don't know. I think Sting enjoys being with Darby so much.
Yeah, I mean, just a little spice it up a bit. I don't know.
I'm not done with the act yet, Phil.
All right.
And that'll do it for AEW, man.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good episode. Good week for AEW.
I mean, I will say this. I was looking at my timeline today. It's the 23rd year anniversary of the Rock's Billy Gunn promo when he said God said Bob, and he said my name. It doesn't matter what your name is. I'm waiting for that to return. AEW's my strongest hope for it. I agree, OC Steve. That's why I said I'm not tired of Sting.
No, Sting shouldn't be a comedy act.
No, he can't. He can't be a comedy act. No, I agree. But no, I think AEW's got to keep pushing the limit. Keep pushing the limit.
Speaking of Sting, did you see the mini mates that they're putting out of Sting and CM Punk when they teamed up?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, the mini mate figures. Sting wearing the Punk makeup with the crossed fists on his face, and then Punk wearing the Sting makeup. These are so fantastic. Cool. I can't wait to get them and add them to my Sting collection.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's cool to see them branching out to other lines of toys and not just straight up action figures.
No, I really love their marketing team. They know what it's like.
So before we wrap this up, Phil, I just want to share U.S. Assassin Ultimate Edition one more time. 6 days left. We're so close to 11,000. I'm going to refresh it. I don't know if we got any backers since we went on, but let's just check. Nope, still at 10,912. We're only $88 away from 11,000. I have a feeling we're going to pass that real soon. And 6 days, $15,000 isn't out of the realm of possibility. If so, all the backers get that Joe Sontag print with Reaper Destroyer, U.S. Assassin, Zero Face, and Dracula. I hope we're able to do it, but we got to get to 15,000, Phil.
Yep.
OC Steve says, what about Sting and Hook? I like Hook. As part of Team Taz, and I want Ricky Starks to eventually go solo, and then I just want Team Taz to be Hook and Hobbs.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
And OC Steve says El Phantasmo beating Will. Oh, I guess that's in the G1. All right, Phil, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Instagram and at Twitter at AnimatedPhil.
And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Coney Waves. Make sure you subscribe to Primetime Poulton. Hit the notifications. Me and Cowboy Phil will be back Wednesday night for a big night of CGWF action. Our man OC Steve trying to earn his stripes and join the Pod Gods dojo against that traitorous, no good Leandro. This is Leandro's one shot at redemption. You know, I'm still the moral compass at heart, and I have a soft spot for Leandro. Even though he stabbed me in the back, I'm giving him one more shot to prove himself, to make it up to me. But he has to go through OC Steve, who's really been proving himself here, Phil.
You won't see me rooting for Leandro. I only wish if I weren't calling the action that I would have accompanied OC Steve to the ring.
Wow.
That's how hurt Leandro has made the Pod Gods.
So we're calling it. OC Steve is Phil's pick. You want him for the Pod Gods dojo.
That's right. That is right. I think there's no better young boy than OC Steve.
Wow. All right. And then in the main event, Don Chin's Date with Death going against the Deathmatch King in a last man standing match for the Primetime Championship. I promised CGWF officials I would not kill Don Chin, but I'm going to make him wish he was dead when I'm through with him, Phil.
Sipping through a straw, my friend.
Mrs. Chin, get ready to take care of your man. He's going to be in a world of hurt come Wednesday. Guys, thanks for joining us. Phil and I will be back in 2 short days. Go share the U.S. Assassin versus Graveyard Shift campaign. Go back it. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you later.